Hi, my name is Andre. I'm a first-time startupper and a student at Business Academy.
Hi, my name is Jenny and I'm a business student studying marketing and sales. Welcome to the Fly For It podcast, where we explore ways that you can upgrade yourself. Entrepreneurship is the activity of setting up a business or businesses while taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. What is it like to start a business, handle it, and then exit from it as an entrepreneur? Prepare your seatbelts for today's episode, where successful entrepreneur Henry Klefström shares his tips fueled by his own journey. At the age of 25, Henry has already done 2 successful business exits. Now he's looking forward to work with more great people and projects. Stay tuned to get filled up.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Fly For It podcast. Today, our guest is Henry Klefström. Hi, Henry. What's up?
Hello, Andre. Hello, Jenny. Great to have here. Thank you for invitation.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure to have you here. Just for the warm up, can you please quickly introduce yourself to the audience? Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Henry Klefström. I'm 25 years old. I'm entrepreneur. I live in Järvenpää here in Uusimaa region, and I started as a 19 years old my entrepreneur career as a real entrepreneur. Basically, I've been an entrepreneur last 10 years doing different kind of digital stuff and selling digital products and services. So basically, I've been an entrepreneur 10 years, but in a paper over 6 years. So that is who I am, and I like to do different kind of stuff with the great people.
Cool.
Could I ask? So you have been a very long time an entrepreneur, but question is that when did you realize first time that you will be entrepreneur? How did it happen?
Well, it's basically it wasn't planned. I come from, my mother is entrepreneur, so I come from the entrepreneur family, and I moved into Joensuu 2016. And I think that then I thought that I will be a historian teacher. I wanted to be a historian teacher. And then I went army and in Kajaani, and then I came back to the Joensuu, and I realized that it's quite hard to find any kind of job at the Joensuu because the unemployment there is quite high, and I didn't have any, network there, and I faced a problem, and then I ended up to buy a cafeteria with my student colleagues, and I ended up to go study a Bachelor of Business Administration at Karela University. So it was kind of, things happened, and I never went to the university to read history, but history have still special place in my heart. But things happened, and I really didn't plan. It just happened. I told my mother that I don't want to be entrepreneur. I want something safe and secure, because I know what entrepreneurship is. It's uphills and downhills. So I knew what it is, and I told my mother that I don't want to be entrepreneur. But after 1 year, after I moved out from my home, I found my new first official company, and But basically, when I was 15, 18, I did digital services. I didn't feel that I am an entrepreneur. Actually, I was entrepreneur. I was selling services. I was doing stuff, but I didn't feel that I'm an entrepreneur. It was feeling that I'm just doing this for fun and earning a little bit cash from it. So it's kind of my path. There was not, the big goal and step by step huge, goal. It was just, I ended up to be entrepreneur, to be honest.
Yeah, and well, you mentioned that you bought a coffee, and that's like interesting story.
I did, but there was my student colleague also there. Yeah, so it wasn't myself.
Sure. Do you want to tell the story behind that? As we actually started working, talking about that topic, and Do you want to tell the story behind that? How did you start? How do you end up having a coffee? What was the challenges behind that, and what is the story?
Well, I ended up by the cafeteria when we started the business academy, and it was the part of my business administration studies, and I met there 3 great other people, and then we want to figure out what we want to do for the next summer, and what we want to achieve. And then we went to the Yrityspörssi, which is the marketplace for companies, and we found out that Cafeteria Rento near Joensuu Lake was unlisted there. So then we just did the inquiry, started talking about the prices, started negotiations, and suddenly we was discussion at the bank that they could give us some loan, and then we just had cafeteria. And at first it was really hard because there was a lot of processes, a lot to adapt about the roles, what entrepreneur do, because there was multiple owners, what we do, how we facilitate everything. But we managed. We worked hard. Everybody of us found the roles, and it was that kind of path. And after first summer, I realized that I'm worst cafeteria owner or partner in history. So because I don't understand anything about the cafeteria, the cafeteria products, because I'm so anti-culinarist. I don't. So it's not for me, but it taught me how to run a business, how to build processes, how to do pricing, how to build a brand. And it's only thanks for my colleagues, who I want to give special mention to Essi and Nora. They had huge support. Together we learned a lot. Yeah, I didn't learn anything alone. I learned with them a lot, and there where the history started at my entrepreneurial career. A real entrepreneur career.
That's a really good point, because sometimes I meet people that are struggling with finding what project they want to do. They want to do something, but then they don't quite know what to do. And I think it's the best option in that situation is to start doing something, because now you understand what you don't want to do, or what the part of that particular project you are the most interested in, and then you got that experience and you can translate that experience into another field. And actually, probably the really inspiring thing about you, Henry, is that you actually jump into something unknown and start doing. And I found really good quote about that project Rento. I think it was some interview to Start Me Up or something, or a business answer. So here's the quote: "The heat wave began immediately at the opening, before we had learned the cash register system or even begun any development activities. This meant that everything has to be done alongside customer service." So basically, you didn't have previous experience in running some cafe, but you still got a loan and started running coffee, right? So you just jump into it. That's really cool.
I still, if I would be the head of the loan service at the bank, I would never give a loan for that kind of people. No experience, they are students, but they gave us a loan, and I think it's good investment from them. I don't think, maybe they thought they saw the potential through us, but if I would be sat there, I wouldn't give it. But that's totally right. But I think I gave multiple interviews at that time, and now it came to my mind, and I want to catch up about, you said about that you don't know what you want to do, what kind of project you want to do. I still don't know actually what I want to do. I still jump into the different kind of business projects to find out things that inspires me and gives me sparkle, because I'm that kind of person who got bored quite fast. I get excited really fast, but I get also bored really fast. So that is why I'm very, I'm very dynamic and moving different kind of projects fast. And I'm lasting only 2 few months or to 2 years or 3 years, because I'm so dynamic, and I need change, and it keeps me inspiring. It gives me the sparkle I have. So I don't want that people get stuck. I don't know what I want to do. You don't have to. Just try. And when life goes on, your interest changes. It's path of your life. It always changes. If you do something for 2 years, it might start feeling boring, even though you liked it at first. So don't be so so hard on yourself. Just do. It really matters. You can always stop it, or you can always find a way around. You always learn something. You learn. You know that okay, I hate this. I don't do it. And yeah. For example, I'm worst cafeteria owner. I most like never say never. I would never buy another cafeteria because I'm terrible at it. So, and I want to be honest. Of course, it's doing great business now, thanks to Essi and Noora. It's great business now. But for myself, I know that I would be a terrible cafeteria owner. I don't want to take any credit of that.
There's an interesting story about how your personality has worked, as you being an entrepreneur. When you get bored easily, you kind of force yourself to find something more exciting and to get more forward. And I think that's a very good trait to have as an entrepreneur. But one thing that I kind of was wondering, I've heard that you had this mission, to make entrepreneurship ridiculously easy. Does it actually come from when you started your first business? Even though you're very ambitious, but you, like you said, you had so much struggle while starting the business. You had to do a lot of contracts, get the loans, and so on. So did those experiences shape you? What do you want to do in future when you realize how hard entrepreneurship sometimes is?
Well, it's not only about that. I think it's more mental side, because how people build barricades in their head about it. I think that getting loan, getting that kind of thing is quite easy. You just made a business plan and you had to argue with it. It was quite a simple one-day job. But I want to make entrepreneur. It's really hard for a Winnie's mouth. Entrepreneurship ridiculously easy is that I want to inspire people to try to do different kind of things. They don't have to be entrepreneur to do so. They can be in any kind of work status. I don't mean that are they entrepreneur or not, but just start trying, and that's how in Finland all of a sudden we will have more companies which employ more people, and it generate more well-being in our society. It's how it is, and that is more like I think in Finland right now, because of there's entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of the tax administration is doing a really great job. They have really easy to do the tax notifications and business point of view. There's a lot of automations. I think that is not that hard. I think it's more like a mental thing now, that we have some kind of block. But luckily, our generation is building a new entrepreneurship generation. I can see it already when I talk with the people. Most of them just want to have freedom for their work. So I think that I'm just speaking out loud what our generation wants from our society.
What do you think? What is the right time to start actually trying to be an entrepreneur or trying to do some project? Because when we were speaking last time, we talked that probably when you're young, that's actually the right time because you don't have so much responsibilities, right?
Yeah, the best time is yesterday or today. I mean that it's always harder when the life goes on. When you have you have loans, you have a car to pay, you have apartment to pay, bank loans there, you have family to feed. So it always gets harder, and But of course, when you're older and you start business, you most likely have more network, more experience, and your success rate will be significantly higher. So So it's never too late. Like Kim Väisänen said, that most successful entrepreneurs are over 40 years old. We young guys, we most likely fail, but it's good. If you fail with your company, you learn a lot. So basically, we don't want to see that if business fails, it doesn't mean you fail. So you learn, and it's good to learn always something. So that is the best thing. And I think that when you are studying at the university, for example, you have good time to put the theory into the practice while doing something. You can do it working for somebody, or working for yourself, or working with your students to create something, new innovations. And I think it's the great time because you have a lot of free time. The society pays most of your living expenses. So I think it's the great way to encourage yourself to start.
Yeah, actually, I agree, but I also think that there is also challenges, because I think I started working on the first project with my brother when I just started studying in Karela University of Applied Science. And the biggest challenge for me at that point was, how do I combine my actual studies, which I was studying media, so basically all those photography courses or script writing or videography courses, and the tasks I have to do for school, how do I combine that with my actual project? I can do it in the evenings, but my concentration, my focus is not so good. Did you have any of those challenges while you were studying? Because I think you started working on some personal projects when you were a student, right? So
I've been working on personal projects since elementary school, basically. So it's very very habit for me. But I think at the modern university, they have now acknowledged the support when people are doing business at their free time, and they give you the study points, or I don't know what the right term, but they give you the
credits.
Starting point credits. They give you credits with you can mix with the studies. So I think that's a great way for universities to develop their processes, that people sit at the lectures and they do something, they get mixed credits from also doing and also from sitting at the lecture. So I think it's the future. More future also now, so it makes it easier to mix up, to be an entrepreneur and to do studies, because universities now know that entrepreneurship will be a trend. More people want to be entrepreneurs. It's good for our society that in Finland we have more entrepreneurs, so it's good that they encourage them by giving them credits, by mixing studies and actually doing as an entrepreneur. So it's a good path.
And I do agree with how universities are really good at supporting sometimes, and universities of applied sciences, because I kind of like Andre has maybe 1 year ago mentioned how he sees the school. It's like, even though we get to study there, but it's also a great source of knowledge, and we have experts there. All of our lecturers, they have basically a very, very convincing background in something. We have law teachers, we have marketing teachers, and so on. So if I ever come across with some problem, I have literally just ask them, like, hey, could you help me with this thing? Like last time I have been trying to apply to a job, I have tried to make an offer to a company, and I just actually ask, like, could you help me with this? And it's free. Like, I need to thank the lecturers though, that they have been willing to do that, but it's free expertise.
Yeah, free consultants. When you graduate and go off to school, you have to pay that kind of services. So that is why also being entrepreneur while being at school is really good path, because you have free consultants walking around you. When you graduate, you only have you have to pay for that kind of services. And when I did my first two, I poked one business and I sold one business. I was still a student, so lecturers helped me to do the documents. They read those through, they helped me with the terms, they helped me with the negotiations. So I have personally experienced that kind of support But to receive support, you always have to ask. Of course, they don't know what is going on in your life if you don't ask. But I think that I think that teachers want always that their students, they achieve and they move forward, and it's part of their job to help them. So it's really good.
And also, I think that if you have something that you are working on, you can actually study much better. Because if you have some project, you can actually start thinking, okay, I have that lecture. How can I actually take that knowledge I can get there and apply in my project? It actually gives you motivation. Actually, you start applying your knowledge in practice, which is quite important. Because, I think that one of the most common and probably most crucial mistakes, in my opinion, that students make is that I want to graduate. Their goal is to graduate. But that's a bad goal because, you actually have to research, you have to study. And when you have a project, when you have something to work on, you start actually studying the things that are interesting to you, and you actually start getting better at those things. So I think that's a really nice way to actually study something, to become good at something, is to have a project. Especially, it can be some entrepreneurial project you're working on, and that gives you, that kind of motivation and to actually learn that stuff and to ask questions, to question current workflows and so on.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add. It is just like that.
Yeah.
One thing that might become a problem for people, when you study something and you kind of want to apply to it, but there are so many things that I could, choose to start to learn and apply. It takes a lot of time. And I think one way to kind of prioritize what you try to apply in your mind while you're studying this much material is that I ask myself sometimes, how can I use this knowledge or apply this knowledge in 5 years? So if there's basically a very, not so useful thing that doesn't really matter in 5 years to me, I kind of just ignore it. I'm not going to apply it because I made a mistake. One course, I made so many notes on it and I tried to learn so much about it. And then next year I realized that, hey, this software that we were learning to use, it doesn't exist anymore. So everything that I tried to apply to my life, it was gone. So prioritize what you want to apply. That's my point.
Always prioritize and always, still be interested in multiple things because, you can face that kind of things, what you have heard in school. In for example, after 5 years, you have some kind of base knowledge. It's easier to build from the base knowledge than building from zero. You have the base knowledge. So of course, don't put too much time if you don't have any interest about, for example, accounting. So don't put too much time in it, but try to understand the concept, because if you need it at some point, it can be very crucial for you. So don't put too much time. Don't try to put your expertise. Listen to courses, build the base, but focus on where your strength relies. You cannot be expert at multiple multiple areas. It's impossible.
That's actually another interesting part of your career, in my opinion, because when you started working on a cafeteria project without previous experience in that, then you have that Kyvykas that you joined, which was actually a kind of web service, right? And you are not technology guy, you are a business guy. And now you are also working in the app development company. So my question is my interest here is that how did you network with people or team up with people and join their kind of teams, technical teams with your business knowledge? What do you think? How can people and what are the best practices in your opinion to team up with people?
Well, basically, I've been just doing multiple projects. When I'm doing multiple projects, I meet great people. So I've been founding businesses with my, which were my clients before. Then we build a friendship, and now we have a business, for example.
Okay.
Or they can be my colleagues at some project, and then we find out, okay, it's gonna be, let's find a business around this. It's kind of, every time you meet a new person, it's new network for you. So basically, that is why I always encourage people to meet people, to be open to meet people and have discussion. It is how I've met these great people. And to answer a question how I ended up so strongly to the IT related stuff is because of that. It's my biggest strength. Of course, I have the business knowledge, but I've been working with computer and computer kind of stuff my whole life. So basically, it's where my strength relies. It's not about the building, cafeteria. It's not about the building luxurious services. It's more about to be in digital platforms, internet kind of stuff, digital marketing. It's where I live. I'm not that strong at the services sector right now. I can always try and learn and adapt my skills from here, but that is how so far I've been doing, and I've been enjoying being in the IT sector a lot. But I think in near future I might change again the sector, and I will fade out the IT sector from me, because if I know myself already, I will get bored out for it also. And maybe I'm back at some kind of service sector, or I don't know what sector I can be back, but never say never. But so far I've been doing at the IT. I've been enjoying at the IT. I've been enjoying digital product. That is why.
So you have had like different businesses now. You have done the cafeteria and you have jumped to the IT platform now. It's funny. So as a person, you probably accept change, and many people fear change. Because I don't know, maybe because there might come some failures. But what I've understand you like right now is that you don't fear failure. You could learn from failure. But has it always been like this? Like, have you always accepted the possibility for a failure?
I still fear failure. It's like my biggest stress daily basis that I feel failure. But I try to live with it. I try to adapt with it. It's still very hard on me that I fail. I fear failure. I want to be honest. I really fear it. I can always be better on that. I'm really harsh on myself if I fail at something. I try to start to whip it myself to the back that I have failed something. I still have it very strong in me, to be honest. But then I always think that okay, I learned something. I don't get stuck into that feeling. But because when you do things, you succeed, but you most likely fail more than there's succeeding. The most important thing in life and in business for myself is movement. If you don't have any movement to the wrong or the right direction, it's more bad than doing only the mistakes. So I know that the learning is lifelong process, and every time I fail at something, I try to learn from it as best as I can. Of course, I have made same mistakes over and over again. Still, it doesn't. It's all about humanity and being a human. But but one thing I want to talk about is fearing change. At the modern world, there's a lot of gig job, short-term jobs. People don't even want nowadays the full-time jobs. I think our generation is very, adapted to these kind of things. Our parents are very tempted that they work at the full-time jobs. Their full-time job is the end goal and be there 20 or 30 years and then retire. But our generation, we've been living this kind of environment our whole life, that we do gig jobs, we do jobs here and there. So I think that if you already have done so, you can do it in future. You will manage. And of course, I think that our social security lacks a lot by that kind of thing, and that there's a lot of improvements what can be done in our social security systems. But I don't want to go into politics in this discussion. But but it's a state where we live. Our generation lives is short-term job, gig jobs, entrepreneurship, clients here and there. So I think we have really good. And if you if you haven't adapted into that, you have to start adapting it. It's just, it's a future. It's here now, and it will be in the next 10 years. So you have to accept it. It's how it is. There's also benefits of it, that you can experience multiple fields. You can try different things. Try to see positive side of it, not only negative side of it. The negative side of it, that I don't know, am I working here at the next Christmas? It's the negative side. But take a positive side. Oh, it gives me the opportunity to go to the next place and learn something more and meet new people and so on, so on, so on. Don't get stuck into that.
I think the thing I didn't like about the past and career path finding is that basically my mother and my father, they had to choose what their life would be when they're 18, because you go to university and you have some kind of profession, and then you use a profession for your work till you die, which is not quite good, because what if you don't like that? What if you don't changes? But we live in a world when we actually can't do anything with all the technologies, with the internet. The entrepreneurship has never been easier. And I think the concept of entrepreneurship is kind of different right now, because everyone can be entrepreneur as a side hustle, because you can also monetize everything you do. For example, yeah, you have a day job, but you can also have a YouTube channel or a podcast or whatever. You can sell things online. Everyone can be entrepreneurs, because today it's actually really, really easy. What is that? Maybe it's not so easy, but it's much easier than it was to be. Yeah.
Or you can be food courier, for example, if you want some extra money. That's easy way to be entrepreneur. Or you can be Uber driver or taxi driver also. And or you can be Twitch streamer. It's also the gig economy. That gig economy is not only about the food delivery guys or Uber guys. It's also the platform technology is to have a podcast, to have a YouTube channel, to have a live stream on Twitch. And the new technologies will appear in a more rapid pace in near future. So yeah, indeed, you are totally right. And I think in the future, how you generate your living is that you have mixed income. You don't have only one income source. For example, that you do that you have full-time job, which give you the same paycheck every month. Instead, you will start building revenue streams. This comes here, this 20% here, 10% here, 15% here. And it's also more secure because, for example, if you lose your job, they will cut instantly your revenue source. But if you have multiple revenue sources, like as being an entrepreneur, if some of clients or customers say that, okay, we don't continue the co-working anymore, you still have multiples, income streams coming to you. So basically, it's also more secure to be entrepreneur. And I also try to speak to that remember to have multiple, revenue sources. Don't be too tight for one, which is to have one full-time job. Because, of course, world changes, they can fire you. For example, if their business doesn't have any kind of, even though you're doing your work very well, but their business can die because the rapid change at the world changes so rapidly. So basically, healthy business can die in one year in nowadays. So that is why it's important to have, for example, side hustles and different kind of things which give you the mixed revenue stream. And also, of course, now we bounce back to the social security. Is it blah 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 blah? But let's don't talk about the social security things now.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like even though I don't consider yet myself an entrepreneur because I don't get so much paid yet. But yeah, entrepreneurship is so easy nowadays because you don't have to build everything from scratch. Like you told us, like there are a lot of tools. You can do podcasts and you can monetize everything. So it's actually quite easy. And also, I think it's really important to think about security as well. Like Andre said, that if we kind of get stuck with this mentality that I need to study for this one career, let's say 5, 7, 8 years, and then I will live the rest of my life with this career. Nowadays it's so impossible to imagine, because I think like like people like Henry, we get so bored easily. I couldn't imagine myself in the same career for 10 years. So being entrepreneur might be a really good solution to that, because it's so easy to start.
And one good side of that you get multiple professions. For example, if I today want to stop being entrepreneur, I can employ myself being an IT project manager, being a digital market positions, being administrations, being I've done so multiple things which I can, if I want to, I want to peace in my life, I want to go work for other. I have so many skills that I can, I can employ myself with it. So because I've done so many things that I can go to work for somebody. I don't have only one profession, for example, which is marketing, that I have to work marketing related positions, or I have to work only IT related positions, or I also only have to work at the administration kind of positions. I can work multiple positions because I've been doing it the past 6 to 10 years now. So I've been doing multiple things. I have some kind of base where to build.
You have a very versatile skill set, and that's like
and I'm not the only one. You guys have multiple skill set. It's more about our generation. We have everybody of us starting to have 100 of skills where we can put to be our profession or something like that in modern world, because we are doing so many things. We are not just doing one thing, and it's always important to remember that.
I think another thing is that coming back to the studentship. I think studentship, and when you are a student, is actually the best time. Actually, the best time to start working on a project and start trying to think, all right, how can I monetize? How can I utilize the things I'm doing? And I think if I can give an advice for myself, like 3 years ago, I would say start working on your project portfolio from day one and try to utilize everything you do. For example, if you have to write an essay, cool, but don't treat that essay as something that you have to do for school or for your teacher. Write it for yourself, write it about the things you're actually interested in, and then publish that. And if you're publishing your essays or writings for, let's say, 2 or 3 years during your study period, you can actually become a pretty well-known writer, and then you can monetize your content. Or if you have to, let's say, do some group discussion, record a group discussion, put it on YouTube, and after a few sessions, you already have some YouTube channel. You can monetize that. So as students, we're already creating things that can be utilized. So start with utilizing things you're already creating. That was the biggest insight for me, probably, when I was, I'm still studying in Business Academy. But in Business Academy, we also create many things that we can utilize, like book essays and other discussions we have, projects.
One thing I want to make a note here, that we are now speaking that the entrepreneurship is easy way to to employ yourself, but I want to mention that entrepreneurship will always require time and dedication.
Definitely.
At the beginning, you have no podcast listeners, you have no viewers at Twitch, nobody wants to buy from you. Finding first client is really, really hard. It's even hard for me when I found a new business to find new clients. I even struggle it when I have good networks. And how about the people who don't have that kind of good networks? So I want to always to mention that it requires dedication. At the entrepreneurship is really hard at the beginning, and always remember it takes time. Most likely the people don't need your services immediately. They might need it after 1 or 2 years or 3 years. So you need patience there also.
Yeah.
So building a so-called brand, or building a personal brand, or building a company, which is very tied into that, it takes time a lot and dedication, and you will fail at first many times, because even I do it daily basis. Last week, 4 businesses just told me that just didn't appear in the meeting, because I was representing a small brand. So it was the thing when you were representing a bigger brand, but when you're representing a smaller brand, people, it changes. So that is why I want to always keep that when you start something, you don't have name, you don't have viewers, you don't have references. It's really, really hard. It takes time and dedication, and you have to be ready to take punches on your face or slaps into your faces at first. It is that I don't want to. It's not about the sunshine and rainbows. It's not about that to be entrepreneur. Not at all. At the beginning, it's just slap on your face most of the times. So that's really hard, and it requires dedication. To see, I have made 5 podcasts and there's only 5 listeners or 1 listener, which is your mom. So it's really, you start hesitating yourself. Is it worth to do something? Is it worth to do this? Is it worth to do that? And it's normal. I do it. I have had a really hard week last week. So even I start to hesitate myself. Am I good at it? Am I good enough? Am I doing this? So that is where that is one of the downside of entrepreneurship and downside of having possibilities, because you have a lot of competition. If it's easy, there's a lot of competition. If it doesn't require big skill set or a lot of money, there will be always a lot of competition. It's how capitalism works. So if there's low entry, there's a lot of competition. If there's high entry, it needs a lot of money or high skill set.
I was wondering, like you said, it needs patience when you start to do being entrepreneur. But have you had kind of, let's say, way or any deadlines? Like how long should you keep going? Like when you start, like when you don't see results, like how long do you keep going? And is there a point where you should quit? Like this is not working, or like how long do you keep your patience?
It's basically when you have feeling that you have turned every stone. It's very important not to know when to stop. And still, I have more failures than successful things. But of course, most of my failures never see the daylight. When they were on drawing board, I was doing market research. I was talking to the first clients. I realized that there is no business. Also, I have businesses which are founded. They have own business idea and everything. And then I realized that they are not going to work. So there's always, when you have feeling that when you have look under every stone, and you are in a position in economical or mental state that it's just only annoys you, and you don't have enough the power to change the direction, then it's a good time to stop. Of course, sometimes you have house bidded for your business or your life bidded on business. It's a lot harder to stop and to try to change course. But it's life. But if you are not believing yourself, and if you don't get, and if of course there's always hard times. I don't say that when the first punch comes and the customer said, "Oh no, thank you," and other customer says, "No, thank you." Okay, I stop. But if you lose your inner motivation and deep motivation, you don't get exciting it anymore. Then it's time to stop. It's only about yourself. If you're not buying it, you're not. I can see the sparkle. If Andre has lost the sparkle about his business and try to sell it to me, I wouldn't buy it. Yeah. If he would call me that, "Henry, do you want to come to this podcast?" Very, tired and lost his hope, I think most likely I would say no in that case, because I can hear it, your tonality. I can see the sparkle, because the sparkle. It's inject. When I see sparkle, I get sparkle. It's how it works.
Yeah. I want to come back a few steps to because we are speaking about getting first customers, and I'm really curious when you rental is a cafeteria, and there's pretty straightforward process of getting customers, right? But when you start working on Kyvykas, what was the process? How did you get the customers? Because I think you also mentioned that you're still doing some cold calling, these kind of selling routines. We know about what was the process? How did you get first customers?
It's always hard. At the businesses, finding first customers, or if you have new business concept, even though you don't have new business, you can have but you're trying to develop new business area or new product. It's always hard at the beginning to try the so-called product market fit. And it requires to tell people about it. And if you don't have a big marketing budget, it requires cold calling or cold LinkedIn connections. And it's the most rough way to get customers, because 95% they don't want to talk to you because you're interrupting them. So it's the very hard way to find customers. But that is why it comes to the importance of having network. When you have network, it's more easier to go to talk. Okay, hey, Jenny, I have this kind of idea. Is this good for your company? You are already, I know Henry. I trust Henry. The relationship about trust is there already. It's a lot easier to get, discussion with Jenny. And that is why I encourage people to have LinkedIn networking, not just putting the connect button, but have some kind of, chit-chat situations where you just meet people. Don't try to benefit from the meeting. Don't try to, at the first meeting, try to sell your thing. Try to meet people, discussion people. It's the biggest failure what Finnish social sellers do. That let's do a network coffee, and then I call it network coffee. It's the sale pitch. I'm like, your product is cool, but I'm not a good customer for you because it's not in my strategy. So rather than that, to meet people, connect people, go to the events, it's where you find your future customers, because the selling is going to be harder every day. I can see it already. During the COVID, it's harder to get meetings. It's harder to catch up people. So without connections, without mouth-to-mouth marketing, it's really, really, really hard. And the mouth-to-mouth marketing, it increases today. It is the most efficient marketing way still, that you serve your customer well, they talk good to you, and they will bring more customers. So it's still the most efficient way to grow. So that is why it's important. It's important to, to have discussions and talk with people, and and even though if you have good LinkedIn network and they get awareness, the selling something is to build awareness. They can recommend when they face somebody at their own network that they have that kind of need. Oh, I need this Henry guy. He seems really nice guy. I mix you guys already. So there's a big relationship rather than Googling it and trying to, there's a lot of ads and a lot of marketing messages. It's very hard to compare there what is the good. But if my network decides, hey, talk to Henry or talk to Andre, and I will go to talk to Andre. For example, that is the efficient way. So I want to say that as selling by cold calling, by cold emailing, by cold messaging, it's getting harder every day. It's hard even for sales professionals. I'm not sales professional. I'm far from it. I'm really far of being sales professional. But it's every day harder and harder to get touching people.
Yeah, I think you also mentioned during our ideation meeting the quote, "Network is your net worth," and I was like, yeah, actually that's true. And I think being a student is a good time to start building your network, because you have that kind of card that I'm a student, and it also opens your many doors. I'm a student, can I talk to you? I'm doing that student project, can I talk to you? That's a really good way to start connecting with people. Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell that it's most easiest way to get the discussion. I'm a student. I want to get known about your business, and of course the entrepreneur or directors or somebody, they want to, it's good branding to their student that okay, I have this kind of company, and that kind of company, we do these kind of things. And meanwhile, they get your face familiar. They can be your potential future customer or client or your employer. So basically, it's very important to go in many situations that, okay, can you introduce your business? I'm student. Most of them always, who wouldn't? It's marketing. It's important marketing. Everybody needs employees. Everybody needs new business partners to grow their businesses. They know that. But you have to build it. I'm student. Can you introduce your business? Most likely. I think that I did it, and that is how most of my network at Joensuu was built. So yeah. But in Helsinki, I've been built to do the business relations. But in the Joensuu region, I was attending every possible real entrepreneur meeting where was the real entrepreneurs and real companies rather than student parties. So yeah. I preferred the real ways, and I met a lot of people. And
I have a question on like networking. So pun intended. If I am a shy entrepreneur and I want to learn to network with people, to let them know about my capabilities and to make trust in me. But let's say I'm just shy to talk to other people and so on. Like, how should I network with people if I am shy?
I'm also shy. I always get a little bit tickles when I have to talk to new people. So I'm also shy. But try to think that they are also person there. They are human beings. And what can you lose? If they're not, you can see from their body signals when you go to, hello, I'm Jenni Meesit, I'm student from Galeria University. You can see their body language if they are not, they are not willing to talk or they have something going on. So it's easy to back up there because you can always go behind that track that it's gesture to introduce yourself. So I always think that it's gesture to introduce myself, go to talk with people, and get my name known. And if the chat is not starting flowing easily, so I know how to back up. I was, okay, it was nice to meet you, and then I move forward. Because sometimes people, they have busy or they have something on their mind, they are not in the position to have a chit-chat, so...
I think probably the most important thing when I was reading about selling was like the worst thing you can do in selling is to try to talk to people in the wrong time, in the wrong place, because that's like you lose the opportunity to actually sell something, and they cannot talk to you. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. And yeah, that is good point. I'm also shy. I always tickle when I start new discussion with new peoples, but I try to figure out myself what can I lose. Till nowadays, I have met thousands of people, and I think maybe I have done some people don't like me, but it's how it goes. You don't have chemistry with everybody. It's just how it goes, and but then it's just how it is. You are not friends with everybody. You know how it goes. So what can you lose?
How do you do business then if you sometimes feel that you're not going to have chemistry with some people? Like, what do you ask yourself and how do you proceed?
Well, I think that I try to not to do business with the person wouldn't I have chemistry. I have done that mistakes multiple times. I still jump into that trap, but it's always end up being catastrophe. It's catastrophe for me and it's catastrophe for the customer in most scenarios that we end up doing businesses if we don't have good chemistry. I still go on that trap because I see potential client, I see revenue stream, I see recurring revenue, and I think that okay, now this is just a hard time, but rarely, of course, there's cases that it gets easier and everything goes on. But in most cases, if start is hard, the end is more harder. And it's hard to get rid of that customer then, and you end up doing more, and you end up doing loss at business with that kind of customer easily. So it's what I want to point out, that you end up easily doing more. You lose more money than you receive easily if you don't have chemistry with the people.
I think one advice that I have heard about working with people is to start with a small project, because that's a good way. How do you actually understand, is there a good fit between you or not? You start with small projects, and then if you see, that's a good person, we have a chemistry, our workflows match, we can like work together. Cool, then continue. Yeah. Culture fit.
Yeah. It's culture fit, and it will be always there. It will be always there because how we communicate, how we talk, and stuff like that. Of course, there's not always the possibility to have the small project. For example, if you're selling SaaS services or something like that, you are not doing the project business. If you are doing, for example, SaaS business, system of service business, which means SaaS, SaaS. So it's Finnish way to say SaaS. So I apologize that. But I always want to tell that if the chemistry is not there, I think it will not be there in the future. Of course, you can switch the salesperson, you can switch the person who is in the same, chemistry level, then it can work. But if you are project manager, in that case, it will be hard. Very, very, very hard for you and very, very hard for the customer.
What are, by the way, the main channels you use to actually meet new, inspiring people? Do you like just message them on LinkedIn, or do you go to events and then meet people in real life, or like what are the main channels you use?
Well, during the COVID, it's been most decreasing my networking. Yeah. Before that, there was a lot of events where people just came. We met randomly. We met through our friends. It is the most cases that you have entrepreneur friends and they have entrepreneur friends, and you meet their entrepreneur friends. It's how the biggest, how you meet people is. It's not only the event, it's more that you have entrepreneur friends who have entrepreneur friends who have entrepreneur friends, and they know somebody who knows somebody. And then you are going to the same party, or you're going to the same, business meeting, you are doing the project together, or you are doing something, you are sharing the customer together or something like that. That is how you meet it. It's more related to doing something actually, rather than just going to the event and their networking. Because many companies go to the event, have some kind of agenda, and But the event is important part to get known people and see what kind of people there is, because you very fast see the same familiar faces when you attend the same events, so you start to have discussion with them in a very natural purposes. How did you like the previous event? So it's really easy to get to start to talk to them, because you have to be seeing them. Or was the show good when we previously were there? So there's natural ways to start the networking there.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to ask, like how. This is my experience, and how sometimes I think I have networked good and well, and how people have like what kind of opportunities it has brought to me. So sometimes, like you said, that having network is good because sometimes they have somebody who knows them somebody. Well, if you are the type of person who constantly recommends good people, like let's say like a lecturer from Karelia or Riveria comes to me and like, hey Jenny, you probably know a lot of people, and I'm like, yeah, Andre is good for this thing, and there's this auntie and so on, and then you constantly, let's say, post about these people in your own social media, so it kind of makes others see that you know some people that are good at something. So when they see this, I have noticed that people have come to me just to ask more people. I have literally had like a marketing manager from one company to come to me and ask, do I know some good people for these positions and so on. So
you should find a recruitment agency.
What?
You should found a recruitment agency.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a positive circle. When you help people, they help you. I always believe in that cases that good comes back. That is why I always try as best as I can to help people, to help them get forward. And for example, I get a lot of cold calls. People call me. I tell them that I'm not maybe potential customer to you. Thank you for calling me. You're doing a great job. I know that it's not easy for you. I always tell that people who do the cold call for me, because it's hard job. And then if I think that it will be beneficial, I don't want to, to just put it off my shoulder to put it on my friend. Okay, tell this to him. He don't need it. I don't want to do that. But if I think that there might be some kind of value that these two guys or two persons should meet, I tell them, okay, hey, call this guy, and he have this kind of business, that kind of business. He might have a need, and he's that kind of situation. Tell greetings for me. And if they end up doing business, they both remember me from the goodwill that, okay, Henry, help us to meet. Because selling is about to create value, not about to steal money in the best scenario.
Yeah.
So always
Definitely.
remember that. In Finland, we think that salesmen try to steal your money, not creating value.
Speaking about cold calling, I think I was working as a newspaper seller for, I think it was 2 days. The first day was pretty rough because I was really nervous. Before the really first call, you're actually really nervous. You don't know what to say. Of course, you have that script, but I was nervous. Then I called, and I think during the 2 days, I was working 1 day. Well, actually, it was a few days, but then I quit it after a few days because I didn't like the job at all. And I remember I tried my best because before that, I actually have watched some videos and have read some books about selling. And I was like, I'm a pro. I'm like, I can. When I call, I say all the newspapers you have, guys. You don't have newspapers to sell. But then I wasn't like selling anything. I think for the whole time I've sold one newspaper. It was like subscription for the newspaper, something like that. And there was a girl. She was 18. And she was selling like 5 or 6 per day. And I was like, how are you doing that? You haven't read the books I read. How are you? I was really surprised. But yeah.
Yeah. And always remember that there's other sales. That is only very little point of the iceberg, because people think that they see these Fortum electricity sellers at the shopping centers and they get the cold calls from these who are trying to sell you a newspaper, that is selling. But most of the selling is business to business selling, where you're trying to sell, bigger things, and the cold calling purpose is just to have a meeting. And it's not about to sell thing immediately. It's just about to have a meeting in a business to business basis. And that is where you have to do, I don't know English word for tarvekartoitus, but it's kind of the thing where you try to find out what the customer need is and does it fit for your product portfolio or service portfolio, whatever it is. So basically that is how you should do it, and it's on the top of the iceberg. Okay, hello Andre, it's Henry calling from this and that magazine. Then I read a 20-second long monologue and ask how you're doing and stuff like that, and then I ask you, do you buy? And then you will most likely say no. But it's just only about the selling. It's about doing mass sales. When you're doing the business-to-business sales, you will have a few calls per day. And you most likely will send an email first. Hello, Andre. I want this and that. And if he doesn't answer your email, I will call to Andre. Hello, Andre. I sent you an email earlier. Did you see it? And then, no, I didn't see it. Oh, okay. And then you tell your thing.
Yeah. One more thing I want to ask you about. According to your LinkedIn, I'm not quite sure if it's true or not, but there was the thing that you've been a volunteer at Slash. Is that true?
Yeah.
All right, that's really cool, because this year, actually, I was at Slash 2 years ago, not as a volunteer. I was just as an attendee, and because there was this year or that year, there was an opportunity to get a student kind of ticket for 100 euros, which was like 100 euros to go to Slash. Awesome. So I went there. It was really, really inspiring. Oh my God, it was really cool. And this year, actually, I wanted to be a volunteer, but then I thought no, I kind of have all the project I'm working on, so I'm not going to do that. But can you briefly tell what was the experience being a volunteer at Slash? What have you learned, and what are the benefits you've got there?
I was at the main entrance to put the jackets on to the naulakko, so it was my job there, and of course I had the possibility to work there freely and meet people. But I think Slash is more about building building a good feeling, and it's just inspiring stories. But basically, it's quite hard to get meetings there. It's quite hard to get people in discussions. Most startups are so focused on to find investors there, so focused on find new buyers there. It's their sales event. So for students, it's quite hard place, because you are not at their target group. They want to get money. Their business is dying if they don't get the funding. So of course they're focusing on that. And if you try to target investor, he's there to meet these startup companies and find the best investments for his money. So it's good to be there, but it's more like inspirational than an actual way. Of course, it's always good to go. You don't know who you meet. There can be your future boyfriend or girlfriend or your new business colleague or your new client or new partner at your company. You never know. You have to always go. If you just sat at home, nobody comes to get you. So in every aspect of life.
Yeah.
How about, like, let's say that you're an entrepreneur and you want to have investors to invest in your company. I don't know how many times you had these kind of situations, but what kind of tips could you give people that want to get investments in their company? Like, how do we get those investors or interested in
How
us?
to get the investors to have a good business? It's just how it goes. Investor wants scale business that they see that it's easy to be scaled. That the business grows up, but the cost of running a business don't. So basically, the margin there grows each time. So basically, you have to be scalable business model. So if you have a normal business, for example, you have construction services where you just sell labor force to the construction state, that is not scalable business model because every construction worker is always tied to that one construction field. But for example, if you get a platform where you can manage those contractors or something like that, you have just a platform there. That is scalable business. So that is how investors get interested into it at the startup world. And investors always look up for your team. They always look to who are there, what are their background, how do they have their own skin in the game. So how they really focus in it, because how is their motivation, how tight they are, what are the actual, what is the actual product market fit for the product, can they pivot their ideas. There is no straightforward process that you get the investors. It's just that you have to have good idea. You have to network with those investors, and to get investor is like getting a customer. It's very rough selling, and getting meetings and doing interactions. So it's basically the same than selling your service or product to the customer. It's the very same kind of process where you have to show benefits. Of course, little bit different kind of point of views, but there's a lot of similarities, and it also takes time. So because remember that they are their money, and they are willing to protect their money because they want to. That if I put 50,000 here, I want to get at least 100,000 back. So they always, if I ask you, Andre, to put, for example, some money in my business, think what kind of emotions you go through, because you don't have any kind of personal emotions or personal ties to that. So that is why that is really tough process to get investor to get the business.
Definitely, and yeah, someone even told that investors, or the relationship between the company and the investors, is on average longer than the marriage. So the time you most likely to spend with your wife is on average less than with the investor. But yeah, so I'm really, as we're speaking about selling and investors and whatever, can you tell us more about so you joined Kuvikas, right? And then Kuvikas was kind of became part of FREE.talent, right? And then
Freelastus.
Yeah. And then
which is now FREE.fi. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Barona kind of acquired that, or invested in that, and then kind of multiplied or expanded the investments, right? If I get it right.
Yeah. But that is my path. So basically, 2019 we merged Kuvikas with Free, and then Barona came at the 2021, and then they invested in the FREE.fi, and previous Kyvykäs was part of that. And last summer, I had that feeling that everything was going so fast, and I think my head wasn't on there because everything went so quickly. The business grew, or the free like the entrepreneurship service grew so fast. Everything grew so fast. People around me grew so fast. They came and go. So last summer, I decided that now is my time to have a pause. And I decided to have a little bit pause from the the FREE.fi businesses, and then I did exit from there, and of course I still work with the Free Laskutus. They are my clients, and I have good relationship there. Greetings to Jonas. I know that Jonas will listen this, and with Jonas we have a great project which we work together still, and Free is still my client, and it still have special place in my heart.
Great story.
So you have done now 3 exits, am I right?
Well, how you see it, basically 2, but if you every step by step, it's 3. But it's 2 or 3. In paper 3, but basically 2.
Okay, you have done few exits though.
Few, yeah.
So
it's how you want to see it, but basically my exits they are being positive. I didn't make a lot of money. I don't want to say that making exits is making a lot of money. I made some money. I didn't make a lot of money, but I hate that always if people think exit is that it's that you get a lot of money only. I think the good exit is that you leave the business where you learn something new and the business is still doing healthy, and you just gave the stick to somebody else to continue with it, but you have learned a lot. I think money doesn't give. You can't buy knowledge. It's just what you can do. You can't buy experience. You can't buy knowledge. So it's the best exit if you can, you have learned a lot. You have something what you can use in your future. So remembering that is good business exit. The business is doing healthy. You gave the stick to somebody else, but you received something which is knowledge and new networks and something on the road. So there's multiple side exit rather than money. And that is what I hate, that the slush kind of trend now, that startups are only that they are big monies and €1 million here and there and stuff like that, that people think it's only about the money. I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about the knowledge and learning. So of course, like I said, I have also done a lot of failures. I have more failed companies and more failed spin-offs than I have more successful things. So I want to always remind about that I have also wasted a lot of money, and I still waste a lot of money for businesses that don't work. So it's how it is. Of course, always keep your personal economy stable. If you are not the position that you can pay your house, you can pay your car, don't try to play with it. But if you have some extra, try to play with it if you want to do so. You can start doing investment. You can buy shares from the market, or you can buy, real estate, or you can do startups like I am. I always tell people that I'm investing myself. They're asking, okay, what? Of course, I have some shares at the market, but people always, okay, can you tell me about your market portfolio, about shares? I'm more like investing myself. Investing. So yeah. So
like you said, you should exit, if the things are going right, when the business is healthy, you have acquired a lot of knowledge, networks, maybe hopefully money too, that's nice. But what if the business is not doing good and you have lost, let's say, your passion from it? So let's say that you have bad situation on your business. How should you do exit in that kind of situation? Because there are many risks. So how to exit from unsuccessful business?
Just accepting that the course, you don't have power to change the course. I think you can always change the course of your business if you have will. to do so. You can always pivot, but in most cases, your fuel for that kind of area just it is ended. So if you don't have any gas, you can't put the pedal. You cannot put the pedal. So it's how the car also works. You're also the machine. So if you don't have any fuel, it's have to do, and then you have to just accept the losses. I think the hardest part for me at this day is also to accept the losses, because our culture and our economy is that we also have to have increased economic situation. I have to always get more money per month. I always have to get I have to always own more. I have to always have more the physical goods, or the physical shares or something like that. And then we kind of start to be very defensive about it because we fear of losing it. So it's just accepting the loss. It will be very, very hard, because it's how society and the government and everything works. But we also have to have more money in our bank account, or more money tied into our house or share of somebody. But at that point, just accepting the loss, and remember that money isn't many things, but you don't do anything with the money if you don't have passion for something. So basically, you have tried, you have learned, accept the losses, and try to remember. And I know it's hard. It's hell when you are in that kind of situation. I don't want to try to play any kind of Jesus here. That blah 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 blah. It is going hell, because your dream and everything is slapped on your faces. Plus, you can be in an economical catastrophe at your own sector. You are going through hell, but probably you will learn, and you learn something. Because of some reason you have ended up in that situation, so you have learned.
When I started learning about the lean methodology and started writing my thesis, and I get to know what is a pivoting, I was like, all right, so basically failing is kind of, well now my understanding of failing is different, because you can always pivot. If that current configuration of the product is not working, why don't pivot? For example, you can also find new customers, or change who is your customer. You can tune your product and try to sell in different markets and stuff like that. So now I kind of course, if there's some money invested in you and you run out of money, that's a clear failure, because you cannot continue doing that. You have, let's say, office or workers. Of course, you just can't continue. But basically,
everybody of us needs money. We need to eat something. We need to live somewhere. So basically, it's just then the story ends. It's how it goes.
But also, if your expenses is not so high, you can keep working and pivoting. At least in my opinion, that's how I see that. And so failing is not just, all right, now it's failed, because you can tune that. You can start working on that from the different perspective and so on. And another interesting thing is that I just curious, what's your opinion on that, Henry? Because we talked about that with Mikko Kettunen on our previous episode, and Mikko, I think he said that don't love how Jenny, do you remember how they say don't love your product or don't love your business? Because when you love your business, you are kind of blind. Scriptwriters there is a quote that kill your darlings. And
I was just about to say about that is kill your darlings thing.
Yeah. Oh, no.
What do you think about Henry? What's your thoughts on that?
That's totally it, and that is why you need also people around you that tells you about things. You have to always be able to talk with other people, because being entrepreneur or be part of the company with other owners, it's quite a lonely road. That is why it's important to have people to share your feelings, because you will generate mental illness for yourself very quickly if you don't have people to talk with. That's real deal, because you are going through so many emotions, and it's important to talk with people. And but of course, it always goes two ways. You never will achieve something if you always, when you fail, you want to kill your darling. So, but there must be a silver line always of some kind of things, and in many cases that can be that you are not ready or world is not ready for something like that. And it's in business, it's always about luck and timing. Even though you are doing great, everything is on the paper is great, everything in the market is great, but the timing was not right, or you didn't met just right persons, or you was at the wrong time at the wrong time. It's just how it goes in business. It's easy to do €1 million in the paper, but in a world things happen. For example, if I would have now a company which delivers something to the Ukraine or deliver something to Russia, how would I know this kind of situation is happening? That I want to always mention that there must be always silver lining.
I think some people have some kind of backup plan or like for situations like this. But like, let's say COVID and the Ukraine situation, they were really hard to predict. But
there always will be. There will be new crises and new stuff like that. Or you can get diagnosed with some kind of illness, or you're some kind of close. For example, your fiance will get sick, really sick, or something like that, and it's so-called life. You can't prepare yourself for unknowns. You don't know what life put on your way. You can't. You will burn yourself through if you try to, prepare for every scenario, because in life, which are not up to you, many things can happen. And they can, in a few days, they can change course of your life entirely. It can happen in a few days. So that is why it's good to have backup plans, but don't get don't try to feel too much safe, because your life can change in 2 days. Always. And it's good to remember that don't have too much of planning, and that in 2 years I must be there, or if this happen, I will do this, because
Yeah.
Talking about the change of courses in business, but how about as an entrepreneur? People are striving to have like excellent big results, make big money, and a lot of people might get lost, and that could lead to a burnout. Have you ever seen like burnouts during like your entrepreneurship life, and how it kind of affects the business?
Multiple times, too many times, way too many times. And I've burned out myself, and I think I'm still some kind of burnout stage. I still don't have the same spark I had like a few years ago. And I've seen a lot of people burn around me, and it basically, instead of, when you start to burn out, you only see threats, you start to feel hopeless, you start to feel negative, and it's impossible to run business if everything is negative and everything is only threats, because in business everything is unknown. Tomorrow your biggest company can declare that they are bankrupt. So it can happen. Like I always told you, that in life or business, everything can happen. That your biggest supplier or biggest contractor said that, okay, we are bankrupt now, and we can't pay your invoices, and then you figure it out. Okay, my company will go to bankrupt because that company can't pay for me that invoice. So to spin off to the how it affects business, it affects so much, because to have a successful business, you have to have positive mindset and a clear pathway, because the crises, they will come, you will face crises, but if you're just burnt out, you just treat threats, you are tired, and you are just at the point you don't see the door out of the situation, and it affects the people around you, if you feel hopeless, easily many more people feel hopeless. So it is how it affects, and if things are going good for too long, you get used for the comfort, and you can also burn out by that way yourself also, because then when hard times comes, it kind of feel too overwhelming to go through it or something like that. So So you can burn out yourself also if things are going great, too great or too fast.
Yeah. How about like we have hard start while we do entrepreneurships. Sometimes we go too high and then we get burnout. But let's say we're doing business, we're handling the business. What does it look like when business is doing great? How does it feel like? What is happening when you're just keeping the business up?
It always feels great, but in a business, it always creates new bottlenecks. So basically, when your business is doing great, you have hard to deliver, or you have hard to, you always have bottlenecks somewhere. So basically, enjoying when things are doing good, it's quite hard because it's always important to have balance. You have always too much of something or too less of something. You have too many customers that you cannot, onboard them properly, or you have too less customers, or then you have tied too much to one customer, that one customer is bringing too much revenue for you, and you are too tied for your company is related too much of the one company, or your company is too related to one industry, or your company is, or you are stressed about how about if my employees burn out. So it's not easy to grow, and it's not easy to build stability, and it takes time to build stability. And if your business is growing fast and everything is going great, you don't have stability. So you have too much or too less workforce, and everything. It's just very balancing. But when you, for example, if you don't have a rapid growth anymore and everything is going smoothly and you get onboarding, then you have stability, and of course it feels great, but it's how we human works, that we don't see things when we are living it. We see things after it. But okay, it was a really good time at my life, or it was really bad time at my life. You don't it's, for example, for myself, it's hard to appreciate times when you are living it. So you just, after you have lost it, or after you have gone somewhere else from that phase of your life, you start to appreciating it, and you start to appreciate everything around it. So that is how it goes. So it's not easy. It's not easy.
I have never experienced it burnout myself, but I just remember that I think I was listening to the Y Combinator podcast or something like that, and the point they were bringing is that when you feel, I think the word burnout wasn't mentioned, but they were like, if it's always hard. Building a startup is like extremely hard, and you are like really likely to have something like burnout because it's so hard. It's so things are rapidly changing. But they were saying that, well, basically you just have to deal with that. You can't go to basically you have burnout, but you have to forget about that and just keep going. That was their point. And I'm not quite sure if I agree with that or not, but I think there are many. Not many, but a couple of ways to kind of deal with those situations. You can either stop everything and try to focus and go deeply in yourself and try to understand what are you actually going to do, or you can try to forget anything and just keep working as a kind of robot or as a soldier, let's say, because soldiers, I think in my opinion, in my mind, soldiers are like machines. They're not caring about feelings and anything else. They're like performing tasks. But yeah, the different strategies, different ways to approach that.
Yeah, and that's how to put it on words. If you are really burned out, you can't kick yourself. It's just how it goes. I don't think you are really burned out if you can still work at the full pace, even though you are focusing or you are roboting. I think that's it. That is not real burnout. It's just the normal that you are feeling down, more like you have hard days, you have hard situations, but if you're really at a burnout, it's quite hard to do anything. It's quite a dark place to be in your head. So that is why I'm not a big fan of that kind of theory.
Yeah.
Being down, it's part of the business, and when you are working at the entrepreneur, it's like Jenny already said, that it's upside and downs very rapidly. Feelings can change, so it's not good. If you really burn out, have a break, focus on yourself, try to find out what you want from your life, where you want to go now. Stop thinking about where you want to be in 5 years. Start to think where do you want to be in the near future, how to get yourself okay, how to enjoy life again. That is my best tip, because it's how I did it. I ended up living today and tomorrow. I lived 5 years and 10 years forward. I lived that at that. So I forget how to enjoy things at ongoing life. So that is important thing. If you burn out or feel that focus on things you do today. Don't focus on what you might do after 5 years or what might you do after 10 years. At business, it's always important to have vision. But if you burn out, try to start little things. That I enjoy to have morning walk with my dogs at the beach or something like that. You have to go really back to the basics. Because at the startup world, you end up very easily in a point where you think, what if, and you are living easily what things are looking like at the 5 years. You are working to be in that 5-year goal very easily, and you easily forget those little things at your life which makes you happy, because you're just trying to push yourself to be in the position where you have pictures of stuff in a 5-year or your company in a 5-year. So, and that is hard. That is hard time. And if you try to be soldier, you just easily digging your grave deeper and deeper, and getting up from there is harder and harder. Of course, you have to have patience. Like I said earlier, you have to have always patience in business. But till to a certain point of, you don't lose your mental health because of that. It doesn't work. Even if you lose 10,000, 100,000 euros, don't lose your mental health, please. You don't do anything with those millions. Those millions won't make you more happier if you have destroyed your mental health. You are just sitting at your mansion with those money, laying at the bathroom and crying, basically. So because your mental health is destroyed. Very, very happy life, is it? So that is why there must be balance, that you can enjoy things now, you can enjoy things after 5 years, and if you succeed something, you can be happy with people who you done those millions and live to the mansion. So that is why the mental health is very important. And many startup entrepreneurs which have been successful have reported me that they felt emptiness when they sell their startup. They have now everything. They get where they wanted to be. They now have the money. They feel emptiness because they've been living so hard-paced life many years to achieve something which they have achieved. Now they are there and they have no goals. They just think, and most likely those people are not the persons who want to sit still and enjoy life. They want to have action in their life. They don't just want to live comfortable life, laying on the beaches and chilling. They just want to they want to be hectic. So it's that is good to remember.
Yeah, I agree. If like exiting from business, it brings the feelings of emptiness. I could almost picture that it's kind of the same situation with super athletes. They let's say they're race car drivers or whatever, ice hockey players, and they have only worked for this one specific career, and then it all drops. There's emptiness. About the burnout, I think when you get a burnout, it's a sign that you did something probably wrong and you should not keep doing it. Because yes, like soldier, because in war you need to keep doing and going on, but in civil life we're not living constant war. The war is something it's a specific period of time. Then you have to exceed your limits, but in life you can't live constantly exceeding your limits. But yes, we have David Goggins and we have these very hardcore, tough people out there, but majority of people, if they live constantly over the edge, they are going to burn out. And like in sports, how do I say, I have the over conditioning. So it's a phase when you train so much that you're like you don't improve anymore at all, and then you lose all your capabilities. Same with the burnout, you lose your physical capability maybe, but the mental capability, it just goes down. And so,
I think I'm still in that kind of myself in that overconditioned shape, because everything happened so fast, and I'm healing myself, but I think it is how it works, and it's good that you mentioned the shoulder and for example operations always have certain amount of time. You go as soldier, you go to operation, you have certain amount of time. And if the operation length is too long, it will give you also burnout and permanent traumas. I've read a lot of stories about soldiers who have been in a combat situation for too long. They have life-lasting traumas from that because they've been fighting for their living in a real kind of meaning. It gives them personal kind of trauma for the rest of their life. And of course, it's not anywhere near related to business. But if you put these, of course, you can make yourself to fear. For example, cold calling. You can easily build a habit to fear to meet new people when you burn out or something like that. I've been there. Suddenly, I felt that meeting new people is very, it was hard for me to meet new people. So I built a habit about it. So I think that is something which can be tied with the war scenario, that you can build very strange habit that you start fearing something which were normal for you short time ago. So that is why it's important. I have a balance. And of course, there's people who can do different kind of things. They can last uncertainties longer than others. You can always develop those kind of yourself. But if you are at that point that you don't have anything to give, you have anything to receive, it's not the time when you start developing something. For example, if you are at the running competition, you don't develop yourself at the competition situation. You develop it at the training ground. So if you are at the competition field, you have to do the development somewhere else. So it's also important to remember in business that, okay, this business failed. So now I go back to the training tracks. For example, I go for somebody else to learn processes there. It's the best way before doing business is to work for somebody else and learn processes there, how to do things. Because then you don't have to figure it out the bicycle again. You know prices, you know persons, you know contacts, you know how things goes. You basically learn how to run things. So then go to the training track, go work for other. Go back to the, I'm still here. There was some kind of push notification. Go work for somebody else, and that is my best advice then. Back to the training tracks to train those skills.
Yeah. I think it's really important, I think, in my opinion, to have fun while you do something. And I think startupping, of course, there is some downsides and you can burn out, but the ultimate, if you do it kind of right way, you can do it so that it's always fun, or almost always fun. Of course, it's hard sometimes, but you can find that way. How do you do that in the way that it's fun? And for me, that's like I don't know what can be more fun than doing startups, because in my opinion, previously when we have 300 years ago. There were no startups because there were so many unknown things, even territories, the continents or whatever. We have to explore them because we can trade with them and so on. But now many things are already explored. We know how the world, like our planet, looks like. We know the continents and so on. And now the field of those explorations are now in startups because we're now exploring what are the limits of technologies, what can we do with our knowledge. And that's why I think this building startups is like super fun thing, because there is so many unknown things, but that's why it's fun. So you're basically exploring and trying to adapt that and trying to make some money along the way, but having fun and bringing value to people is like really, really driving at least my passion why I want to be a startup entrepreneur.
Do you have actually, Henry, because you have been out there, do you know currently, like, what are the unknown continents in the startup world currently? Like, do you have any idea what they could be?
Well, I don't know any right now because it's so hectic, the startup world. And way of doing startup, it's so different. They are going to fintech, to health tech, to the green tech, so on. I don't know. I think I'm not in a... I can't add anything to that because there's so many different company cultures. But the pro tip I want to give that build a good team, lead with a good team, do things with a good team. And it's the most important continent. Don't forget the people you are working with. You can do shit alone. In startup point of view, of course, if you're selling your expertise as a consultant or a freelancer, you can do hell of a work alone and more efficient than team. But if you're trying to build startup, and being startup is that you have scalable business model that which scales, it's almost impossible to do alone. You can do the things alone, but the emotional roller coaster alone is really, really hard.
Mm.
How about though, like, you don't know maybe the new started continents, but you did start, you did succeed free, right? Mm. And even there was still competition. So Ukko was your main competitor, if I understand right. You were both very similar. You were both sailing on the same continent. But how did you still end up succeeding with it?
Well, I always tell that the customer service and putting your client first. Whatever, is it cafeteria, is it rento, building customer experience is all about that. It doesn't change, is it what you're selling, a platform or cafeteria. It's about the customer experience. And I think that it's the way to go, that customer gets good customer service. You know who your customer is, and you know the value chain, what you deliver. It's about that and focusing on that point of view. So I don't want to comment about the business point of view, about the competition and stuff like that, but the general point is that focus on your customer or customers and understand value chain and build best possible customer experience. Is it easiness? Is it service? Is it something between on that? But always that is most important thing that what you can deliver. And I always want to hear that. I hope that, example for Rento, we have managed to succeed in a customer experience. And if you're not, please contact me, henry.klefström@gmail.com, and let's see what we can do if something at the Kahvila Rento customer experience is not good for your point of view. So I think it's most important thing we always have to focus on. Don't matter what your business is, customer experience. And always is hard time. Even still, some people's, are not happy. They want some compensation and things like that. It's normal. When you do things, you will do mistakes, and you cannot serve everybody. It's also in business that you can serve everybody, but you have to find there also the good middle way through there also. If you just say everybody fuck you, I think you don't have any customers, not anytime soon, but you know what I mean.
Yep, that's really cool. And I just want to add something about, because Jenny asked about startup continents, and I think, in my opinion, the biggest kind of changing thing that is happening right now is because of all the technologies and all the tools we have, and also because it's going to the no-code, low-code direction. I think, in my opinion, because we don't need that much programmers, or in the other side, everyone can be at some point a programmer or do their own tools. And I think, in my opinion, in the future, in 5 or 10 years, we will be building more tools for ourselves ourselves. So if I need a tool for, let's say, in Business Academy, we have to track our hours, how many hours we work, and then we convert those hours into credits, right? Basically, now, of course, I can use the existing tools, but they are not kind of customized for my purposes. They are too complex or too, I don't know, they're not linked to my Google Sheets thing, right? But I can, with the existing tools, I can use the existing technology, low-code, no-code solutions to build my Andre's tool for only my purposes. And I think that will be the biggest strength. And I think something similar you're also doing with your current company, because you're helping trying to test. Can you, by the way, tell us more about your current company or the company you're working on?
Yeah, thank you for the short question. I go first about the low-code, no-code thing as a general phenomena. It's not very known in Finland, the low-code or no-code. But basically, there's a platform where you can build apps and services, web apps, whatever, basically without knowledge of any code. And I think in future we are moving away from the so-called system as service word, where you always had to fit for somebody, for one system. For example, if you're buying some kind of solution, for example, timesheet, like you mentioned, you always have to put your company processes under that umbrella that you can use the app. So I think the low-code, no-code make it possible that you build it around your current processes, that you don't always have to adapt with the new apps or new technology or with the new customer service funnels. For example, if you start using HubSpot, you have to build your sales, your marketing team, your everything into the HubSpot logics. Instead of, and it's in some cases, it might give you better business with more streamlined processes, but in worst cases, it's not. You're just putting your company off track, building shit processes into that. So I think low-code, no-code will change that you can build small apps or small technologies more like in your own need, rather than buying a system as a service which work in the same way for everybody, where it's almost impossible to customize anything. So I think that is where the future is going in the next 5 or 10 years. And the way we see developing apps or anything like that will change, because it will be significantly faster to test like things like that. And there we come into RokApp, which is low-code, no-code company, where we do such things I just mentioned, that we are building platforms for our customers to do market testing, to market pivoting, or we have some kind of already made apps which can be modified to the customer needs, using the features that customer needs, and that I think that is the future, and that's why I wanted to go in that project, that we are moving away from the system as service world, where you always have to fit for HubSpot, or you always have to fit for the time schedule app with your company processes, but where basically every other companies will have the same process too. Where is your competitive edge if everybody is doing the same by using the same apps? For example, in human resources, or for example in restaurant, if everybody is doing the same processes, which is your competitive edge? You don't have any, because everybody have used the same apps, used the same processes because of that apps. So I think that is the future. Is Finland there yet? I think not, but maybe in 3 or 5 years we are more in that way, that we develop or you into your own use apps, or softwares.
It's really relevant for companies, because companies can build and businesses can build their own platforms and apps. But I think it's also relevant for me and you and Jenny as a student, as a person, as whoever you want to define yourself. So basically, because you personally can also utilize those technologies to build the apps for you. You can build an app that can make your, I don't know, walking with your dog more effective, or you can track those times or whatever, because you have that particular really certain need, you can use that. So, and I think that's really beautiful idea.
Yeah, it's a beautiful idea, and we'll see how the world goes. Like I say, you never can. You can always think what future can be. Like my granddad always said that when he was my age, he thought that when he's 80s, there will be flying cars. But still, here is not flying cars. There's only electric car. We are quite far away from the flying cars. Because when he was 20, humans walk at moon and everything like that. We just discovered space and stuff like that. So he thought that the linear, how humanity evolves is there that we are flying cars when he's 80, but we're not. So basically, we'll see. This can be future in 20 years or 5 years or 30 years or never.
I think, the interesting part of having flying cars is that I think it's technically now more than possible. We can do flying cars, but I think Elon Musk told us that, or of course among many others, that flying cars are too noisy. That's why we kind of don't want them to fly around our cities. But it's interesting that how previous generations were watching at a future. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that he never thought that there will be an electric car.
Yeah.
At 60s. So they
Cool.
were so used to gasoline and stuff. But yeah, let's go forward.
So, we have talked about how to start business, how to handle it, how to exit. But like in the future, like you said, when you want to do exit from, like, let's say, from a company, you have gained knowledge. But currently, what do you aim to do right now in your company, at the company you work in the RokApps? Like, what are you looking forward in the future to learn or to gain? Visions?
Yeah, of course, I want to grow business, find new customers, get the new problems to solve, because business is about the problem solving. It's always. If you have a grocery store, your problem is to solve that people want to buy food from you. If you are an IT company, you want to solve people IT problems or something like that. So that is why that is what I want to learn. I want to get even better at the problem solving and meet new people, meet new employees, meet new possible partners who can come into companies and who can grow with the company. And of course, I want to say that I also have multiple other companies rather than RokApp. RokApp is just one which I'm working with. And but basically, I just want to work with great people, and have fun and see what can we do. RokApp is just top of the iceberg what I do, but it's one of them, and yeah, it has its own focus on.
Great. I think there will be many listeners that would like to contact you because you are so inspiring, and I think there might be some connections between you and some of the listeners. What is the best way to contact you?
Well, best way to contact me is on LinkedIn, because I try my best to answer every message I get, and of course you can always call me. I always told that if you can call, you can always give me a cold call. If I'm not in a position that I can't answer, I won't answer, and yeah, I try always to be nice for everybody. So if you want to contact me, send me a LinkedIn message or give me a call. In LinkedIn, you'll find everything, my contact information. And if you're not still in LinkedIn, you should be there because it's good portfolio of the network people. It's a shortcut of networking people, but it doesn't do the networking for you. You have to meet people, you have to talk people. It's not enough that you put the connection button. So
yeah,
you have to do a little bit more than that.
Sure. That's really good.
It's like saying that I'm going to the road and sharing just my card that, okay, I'm Henry, nobody will remember me.
Yep, cool. I have two kind of short questions for the wrapping up. But before we go to that, do you have some final words you want to say? Or Jenny, if you have some final questions before we go to the short blitz questions. No.
Well, my final comment is that try now, or try to try as soon as possible, because it's a great way to learn, and stop thinking about the money first, start thinking about the knowledge first, and because when you get the knowledge, you will earn money at some point, most likely. If not, at least you have learned, and that's important thing. You can always monetize. More you know, it's easier way to monetize.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, cool. Let's now go to my 2 short questions. There are short questions, but you can answer them in any form you like, short or long.
Okay.
So the first one is, there's a thing called work-life balance. If you would have to choose one, work or life, what would you choose?
Work-life balance. What would you choose? Freedom as an entrepreneur, and I want to work whenever I want to work. It's just because I have of course, I know that modern day employmentship is also possible, that you can do flexible hours. But for me, I know that when I wake up at 8, I'm not efficient to the 16 o'clock. I'm not efficient the whole that day. I get the efficient spikes. I have 2 efficient hours, then I have 4 non-efficient hours. So I'm not a machine who works efficiently 8 hours straight. So flexible, and learn. I've learned to put those hours I'm not productive, that I do my my free time stuff at that time. So that's my work-life balance.
Great answer. And the last question, if you would have an unlimited amount of resources, what would you do?
Ooh. What would I do? Different kind of research groups to solve society problems, for example, cancers, and how to improve quality of life at the humanity overall, and that's what I want to do, to have that kind of impact. But I want to focus on research and investigating to give information which is beneficial to the companies, because if I have everything, I wouldn't need to monetize it. I could give the information for free for the society, somebody to put it into use.
That's a great answer. Yeah, so thank you Henry, very much for being a guest. For the fantastic conversation, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you. You're great to host here.
Yeah, and it's really fun to share views and learn a lot from you as well. So I think both of me and Andre, and hopefully listeners that are looking forward to maybe become an entrepreneur, we got very fruitful views from you. So big thanks to you, Henry.
Thank you.
Hey folks, thanks for listening to this episode of the FREE podcast. Our guest today was Henry Klefström. Henry started his fascinating entrepreneurial journey when he was a student. During this episode, we try to explore how to start a business, how to handle it, and how to exit. If you want to learn more about Henry, his LinkedIn profile link, as well as other useful links, are in the description. Don't forget to share your ideas, insights, or feedback on the FREE LinkedIn page. Thanks for listening once again, and hey, whatever you are going to do, fly for it.